how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. It's an exciting day because we are supposed to receive our very first truck of spring color today down at the garden center. So I have my phone standing by. I'm supposed to receive a text when the truck shows up because I want to rush down there and see some of those things. And you know, we've got lots of projects, fun stuff going on right now, and seeds started, but there's nothing like that first load of color to get you going.
Get you jazzed?
Yeah, totally.
What are you going to get?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a hard time right now too because it's still like a tiny bit too cold at night to pot up a lot of our containers outside. But I was thinking like a little display in the greenhouse might be kind of a fun.
Yeah, you can keep anything you want in the greenhouse for a little while until it warms up outside.
It got to 78 in the greenhouse yesterday.
Yeah.
So
I get alarms when it goes past 75. You should download the app on your phone so you get them as well.
Yeah.
But anytime it's past 75, I get an alert. I'll probably want to kick that up as we start getting warmer.
Yeah.
To alert me at like
so
80 because I can see
up.
it. Yeah, we need to work on that. I need to call the company because the side they work. You can turn the sides up manually, but the whole automatic thing,
not working.
I haven't figured that out yet.
But that kind of leads me into our first video, which is potting dahlias for early blooms. I'm running a bunch of experiments in the greenhouse because, you know, this is our first time having it heated, and having a warm greenhouse during the day is no problem in the wintertime, even if you don't have a heat source. I mean, I don't have our heater set to 78. It just got there yesterday on its own. But it's nighttime temperatures that you have to worry about. You know, night before last, I think we had 16 degrees, and keeping a nice consistent temperature in the greenhouse is still a little bit hard at that level. So we've had it set at 50, and I want to kick that up, I think, to 60 because I've got other things that I want it to be a little bit warmer. And our forecast is looking up. So I feel like as we get closer into the warmer part of spring, it'll be less energy using, I guess. Sure. You know, if you're keeping it heated to 60 or 70 in like December and January when it's really cold, that uses a lot. So like I kind of want to.
Yeah. So far I haven't noticed any spikes at all in our bill. It just like our gas bill, it's basically the same.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It hasn't been, I mean, it's been in the teens, but it hasn't been too awful harsh, which I'm thankful for. But Audi said, I know you said not to watch your old YouTube videos. Yeah, not the real old ones. Watch some of the old ones, just not the real old ones. But I just watched a few, and I have to appreciate how much more comfortable and engaging you've become since then. Well, thank you for that. It was a rocky start, man. Do you think your personality has changed because of the channel? I don't know that it has changed. I think my comfort level has changed.
I think that, yeah. I think that your eyes have been opened to other areas besides our own.
Yes.
I think early on you had a little tunnel vision because you helped customers that came into the garden center in our local area.
Right.
And so you were just so inundated with what gardening is like here that I think that, you know, as you've read comments, you've been like, oh yeah, people have way different experiences than I have with gardening.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very true.
It kind of broadens your horizons, you know?
It does. That's a good thing. Can you imagine another version of you that didn't start this channel almost a decade ago? What would I be like?
Probably happy, probably working at the garden center.
Yeah.
You know, like I think our life would be fine. It just would be different.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't have a Hartley greenhouse.
No, you wouldn't have a Hartley. You wouldn't have as much space.
Yeah.
Certainly things are...
Yeah, it's been a huge blessing, this opportunity for us. And we've been able to realize some dreams that I never thought would be realized, which is in huge part to you guys for watching our videos. So thank you. I mean, it's crazy. It really is. And I'm so incredibly thankful. Next question is from Ruth. Will you do a video on your root cellar, how you built it and how you control the temp and humidity? You know, I really need to kind of gather my thoughts on that whole process because the whole project, I didn't build the root cellar on. Eddie did it. You know, Eddie is kind of our handyman. He's doing the cut flower shed right now. He enclosed a little, it's 6 by 9, 6 feet wide by 9 feet. Actually fit a lot of stuff in that space. I was a little worried at first. I'm like, well, I'm super excited to have a root cellar, but 6 feet by 9 feet doesn't seem huge. It's plenty of space for what we use it for.
I think you could be even a little more efficient with the space.
Oh, for sure.
You could be a lot more efficient.
Yeah, I kind of...
If necessary.
You know what? I think in the beginning I used those baker rack shelves because I didn't know how we were going to use it and what we were going to actually store. And I thought, well, these I can move around and or like use shorter ones or make them shorter and all of that business so that it was... scalable or flexible?
Yeah, flexible.
It was flexible for this space before we went ahead and did like any built-ins or anything like that.
So you're saying you like the baker racks?
I'm saying I kind of like the idea that I can change it around if we need to.
Mm-hmm.
And this next year, we're not going to be storing dahlias. Like I'm going to leave most of them in the ground this next year.
Not worth it.
Oh,
unless you're
so
selling.
not worth it.
If you're going to sell them, try to make money.
Yeah, we're going to just be mulching that area up like crazy and hoping for the best, because it takes weeks of time to dig and clean and store all of those. I think it's less money just to buy new ones.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, anyway.
Unless you just happen to have a ton of extra time on your hands.
Yeah, which we don't.
Right.
And everybody else is busy doing things too. So as far as how we control the temp and humidity, I do have the ability to do something on my phone. It's like with
the CoolBot system, which I think everybody uses.
Is it? I don't use it.
Yeah, the problem is that there is no app. It's all cloud-based, and so you have to log into a website, and it feels kind of clunky. It'd be nicer if there was an actual app. And there might be like an Android app. We have iPhones. I know there's no iPhone app. So, maybe if we had Android phones, there'd be an app. But anyway, it just feels clunky, and it's kind of a pain to get into.
Though I should be more diligent about that. There have been a couple of times where the temperature got too hot in there in the middle of winter. It didn't affect any of my storage life that I could tell, thankfully, because I don't think it was up at that temp for too long. It was when like the floor heater wasn't set properly, and so it just kept on heating. And it was right around when Samantha was born.
You need a temp alarm in there to send you a text message or an alert of some kind when it reaches too high or too low. For sure.
Right now it's hovering between 40 and like 46-ish, right around in there with about 50% humidity, and it stays pretty. I look at it every day because I'm out here every day. I just kind of like peek at the little digital thing outside the door, and I just don't open the door if I don't need to, because it changes the temperature like that. Like you open the door and you can see the temperature rise or drop depending on what it's like outside. Okay. Next question is from 2 Acres Evolving. With your greenhouse being double layered plastic, does your heater have trouble keeping it 50 degrees at night? Not at all. I'm wanting to do a similar setup, and I'm just curious how happy you've been with the double layer. So happy with it. I'm so happy with the whole thing.
I think our heater is fine. I think it's on the high end. Like the large end. I think we didn't need as big of a heater as we got. Ours was like a 10,000 BTU.
And maybe we'll get a bigger greenhouse one day that we need the big heater for. We can
swap it out. Yeah, but I would like a heater maybe half the size for our space. I feel like would do the job.
But yeah, super happy with it. It's worth it. And I'm trying to talk my parents into doing the same thing down at the garden center with their greenhouse. I think it'd be a game changer for them, for sure. I know my mom would enjoy it though. Nothing else. She would enjoy being out there in the warmth and being able to try to grow things off season. There's a joy in that. Susan says, does anyone know what happened to Cheddar? Cheddar is a little bit more aloof than Russell. He's still around. I'm actually like looking around the room, like, is he in here? I walked into the greenhouse yesterday and he was curled around the base of a Japanese maple, like up in the terracotta pot. He can still get in the greenhouse because the sides that roll up they're not like tight. And so he can skinny.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Slither his
way through the layers of plastic, and he can get in there still, which actually gives me peace of mind. If they're happen to be outside when it's colder, then they can get anywhere that's heated. And I also have heated beds in the barn in case they happen to be in here.
Like peeing in there and going to the bathroom?
I would assume that we'd already noticed that.
Yeah, because it's just rocks.
And I've got raised beds full of soil in there. Nobody's used anything as a bathroom yet. I should probably cover those. Anne says, anyone else curious on how many steps Laura takes in a day? Not enough right now. As I'm eating, I made this thing, so I follow Southern Lady Magazine on Instagram, and they posted this shortbread caramel chocolate bar thing, and I made them last night. I had one right before we did this. We turned the camera on. Yeah, not enough right now, but I did wear a pedometer, is that what they're called? I wore one a couple of days down at the garden center, which I don't move here like I did down there. I moved like crazy. I was also a little younger, 15 years younger. Maybe I'll wear one again this spring, but I walked just under 10 miles in one day.
I've been trying to get you to get an Apple Watch. I
can't wear anything like that. I feel claustrophobic.
That's weird.
Yeah, I almost feel claustrophobic wearing a ring. Not in the way that you would, physically, I feel a little.
I just can't be married.
Yeah, yeah. It makes me feel
free.
It makes me feel a little claustrophobic, especially when I put gloves on and off. But I'm just not a huge jewelry wearer anyway. Not that that has anything to do with anything.
Steps.
Anyway. Yeah, maybe this spring. I'm really hoping to do, I don't know. I'm ready for the activity. 029 Ericam said, how do you keep mice out of the food in the root cellar? Mice do not get in there. It's sealed. Like, it is sealed off. And Eddie did like extra precautions. I think there's some metal flashing in there.
If a mouse got in there, they would probably die for lack of water, unless we opened it and they got out.
Maybe.
But they're not getting in and out except for if
Could they survive though,
in.
based on the moisture content in some of the food that they're eating?
Maybe for a time. I don't know how long
There
mice
are
can
some
survive.
water bottles in there.
Oh. Well.
So it's pretty locked down. I don't think that they can get in there. I haven't
They'd
had a
have
problem
to
yet.
scurry in when the door was open, and you always try to keep the door shut quickly because the cold is getting out.
Right. Jamie said, could you use a knife to separate your tubers, or are pruners better to use? You know, I tried the knife thing. I use my Felcos primarily. I do use a pruning saw, though, occasionally, because some of the clumps of tubers are so thick up at the top that to get through that with clippers, that would be kind of hard to do. So I'll saw through a big clump like that, and on occasion. But yeah, that's it. That's all I use is a pruning saw and pruners. Victoria said, question for Laura or anyone else. Do you have any insight in leaving dahlia tubers in the ground? I know you are in a zone that you can't, but possibly you have experimented. So dahlias are perennial in a zone 8 through 11. In lower zones, I know a lot of people in zone 7 leave them in the ground. And a lot of people in zone 6 do as well, and mulch them up and just kind of hope for the best, which is what we're going to be doing this next year. So yeah, I mean, it's best, I think, like in our zone and maybe lower zones, to lift them and get them stored somewhere proper, like proper temperature wise, because then you have less risk. But then again, there's the whole labor factor, and it's just so intense. Yeah, so zone 8 through 11 for dahlias. Sherilyn said, any sign of snowdrops? Yes, there are. They're popping through the snow.
Are they really?
I took some pictures like a week ago. So I should go back over there because the snow has been melting off to see what they look like.
Yeah.
They were blooming this fall, though, which is so weird.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of them were popping through the ground, and I had a few flowers, like probably 10 or 15 flowers, like late fall. So I didn't know what that was going to do to this year's look. We'll see. Next video is flower shed update plus new grow lights and an unboxing from Gardener Supply. So we started off out at the cut flower shed just to show you where we're at with that in the construction process, and then we ended up back in here setting up some new bamboo LED grow light gardens from Gardener Supply, as well as they sent out this new you attach it to a wall. It's like a shelf you can use for things on top, but then you can attach a grow light to the bottom of it so it can shine down onto whatever you have below it, which is kind of neat. And then a galvanized toolbox that you can attach to a fence or to the side of your raised bed and store small items like small hand tools, gloves, things that you use all the time, and you can keep them real handy right by your garden. It was a fun video. First comment is from Weezer Bourdreau. Way off subject, but am I the only one excited to see which dahlias Laura sends to Jenny at Creekside? I'm so excited to see a little piece of Laura here in my native North Carolina, and I go to Jenny's nursery as often as I can. I love sharing my garden with people, seeds and tubers, etc. It feels like I'm giving them a small piece of my happiness. I'm just so excited that two of my favorite YouTube gardeners do it too. Yeah, so based on the way the dahlia tubers were looking in the previous video when we were doing the dahlia pot up, I think we'll have a pretty nice selection to send over. When they were here this last fall helping us retrofit, they like did it, setting up the greenhouse to where it's heated. We really had a chance to walk around the garden, and Jenny said that she had never really done dahlias before, and so, you know, it was really fun to show her some of my favorite varieties, and we even took some dahlia bouquets and had them we put them in their hotel room. Remember?
Yeah, right.
Before they came. And then as they were pulling in, for the first time, I was out there with my camera showing you guys my pumpkin harvest. And so she said, I think this next year I'm going to do dahlias and pumpkins and see how, you know, we can compare varieties and such. But we should be able to send a pretty nice variety, hopefully. I'm going to start dividing, I think, the beginning of this next week. Diane said, stupid question, but what is a cut flower shed used for? To decorate with bouquets from the garden, so extra, and I love it. Well, yeah, that is one of the uses, is to do bouquets out there, but I want to, I felt like I needed some structure out there, something that was like kind of larger. I had my eye on just a shed kit from Home Depot, and that's a little bit what we're mirroring this design after, because I really liked the windows and such that it had. But when I showed it to Eddie, who did the root cellar and who's doing the cut flower shed, he said, you know, you could do the kit, but it's kind of flimsy. I think we should just like build this thing and make it nice. And we get pretty high wind, so I think you'll want it to be substantial, which is true. He knows. So, and he knows how we use things and so on and so forth. And it's so perfect because he works full time. So he does these projects on the side, and he works at just the right pace to where I get to make decisions like one at a time. I don't have to like pre-plan anything. It's like, do you like this siding, or this siding? And I'll pick one, and then he'll do it. And then I get to make the next decision. That's my speed. Anyway, we're going to use it to store some of our most used tools out there, so we don't have to go back and forth. I'll have vases out there, flower buckets, like flower preservative. I'll have stuff for the orchard out there. We'll have table and chairs out there too, so we can sit. It's just a nice place, I think, for shade until the orchard trees are big enough. And it's a nice structure. There wasn't enough out there to like ground the space. I felt like we needed something just a little bit bigger to fill in that space. And that's kind of what I had envisioned, looking straight down the cut flower garden and seeing the shed in there, especially like at night. I have a chandelier already for it. We picked up on one of our antiquing trips, but seeing that chandelier just kind of on a dimmer in there, it'd be so fun and like romantic looking. Marcy said, Laura, I'm wondering about stacking 2 of the tall bamboo plant shelves. I know there's limits on how many of each size gardeners endorses. 2 of the tall ones together almost seems a little unstable. Yeah, so we got the medium size, and those work perfect. That actually came as like a full, that was a unit. So you order that as a unit, but you can order them separate, and I don't know that you can put 2 tall ones together. You'd have to look on the website. It'll tell you.
It would be really tall.
What's that?
It'd be really tall.
It would be.
They're around 6
The 2 mediums is 6 feet.
Yeah.
So 2 talls. I don't know how tall a tall is, but it might be like 8 feet, because I'm guessing like 4 feet maybe.
Yeah.
On those. Yeah, so you could do like a tall and then a short one maybe on top of that. I know they're all like, you can kind of make your system how you want it to be, but 2 talls might be too much. G. Blackwell said, were you born into money? No, neither of us were. At all.
You know, it's funny. I saw a scale recently, maybe on like Twitter or something like that, and it was showing the different like classes of like what's considered poverty or lower middle class, middle class, upper middle class, you know, rich, and then, you know, on up. And looking at the numbers, I think you and I were definitely lower middle class.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like not poverty at all, but not middle class. Like definitely lower middle class.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was born, my dad, my mom stayed at home with us, and my dad was not an owner yet, not for a long time. And he did side hustles so we could do extra things, like he did lawns for people, fertilized, and did all of that. And your family's pastor's family, you know, and your parents started a church here, like from...
Well, took over a failing one.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is kind of like almost like starting over.
Yeah. So I think both of us had very, very similar upbringings, really, which I think has been helpful in our marriage, you know, because we both have, you know, we're very lucky.
We had the same experiences.
Yeah, we're very lucky in that way. And we were both raised very similarly, similar values, similar belief system, and that's helpful. Similar view on money and how to handle it and deal with it and save and all of that kind of thing. Anyway, no, and we weren't even given anything along the way other than, you know, love and support and encouragement from our families to work hard, and that's what we've done. And we've gotten lucky along the way, though, too. You know, we've kind of started, I think, our YouTube channel at the right time, maybe. I don't know. And I feel like...
Well, you know, we were consistent at it, and it seems like consistency is one of the biggest things with YouTube. There's some people that I've noticed that are really, I don't think they're that good, but they've been consistent, and they've got over 1 million subscribers. And I'm not trying to like bash them. I'm just saying, like, I really think if you just keep at it, like, you'll find people that are interested in whatever you're doing, even if you're not that great.
Well, I think that different personality types speak to different people, and I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and everybody, like, there are people out there that aren't my cup of tea. I think that's just like normal and natural. So I know that, you know, we're not going to please everybody or hit where, you know, somebody is. Not everybody, I don't know. Anyway,
well, I
you know what I'm
know
saying.
what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of people like are gardening in Florida, and it's like, well, I don't, you know, get a lot of inspiration from her because like I'm a zone 10.
Yeah, or maybe she cares too much about it being pretty and not like.
Yeah, not
you
growing
know,
enough food or whatever.
Yeah. There's just different, and that's totally fine. That's what makes the world go around and makes it interesting, right? If we were all the same, it wouldn't be interesting. Valentina said, how long would this shed last? I'm asking because in Europe, we mostly do not build houses from wood, so I really don't know. You know, it will, I don't know, it'll last a long time. We're really dry here, so we don't have a lot of rot issues or things like that. I don't know if that would be an issue in a real rainy area or something real humid. But like our buildings versus buildings in Europe, it's just two different animals, really.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I feel like stuff in Europe is built to last forever, and that's just an American perspective looking, you know, outside looking in. Here, what would you guess? Like maybe 100, 150?
Maybe.
To like 200 on the top end.
If it's really taken care of and like painted and like treated like it should be.
Right.
A lot of
Make sure
buildings
there's
aren't.
no like mite or termite damage.
We don't have really termites in our
No, we
area.
don't here, but I know that's an issue.
But even the buildings on the East Coast, as opposed to over here closer to the West Coast, it's different. You know, you see a lot more buildings over there, the historical stuff, because things are just older over there than they are over here. It's interesting.
It feels like, you know, here in America, things are built to last for at least your lifetime. And after that, it's kind of like, you know,
somebody
will need to do something with it.
Yeah, somebody will want to do something different.
But I don't know that that's the same thought process in other countries. I don't know.
The architecture, though, over in Europe, that was our favorite part.
Yeah.
I mean, touring older estates and castles and things like that and seeing how things were built and just even walking around towns and seeing like downtown areas and what buildings were made out of, and everything was beautiful.
Yeah.
Christy said, Laura, do you ever just get around in your trackies during the day? Wearing jeans while putting together the light units would be so uncomfortable. Nothing better than a pair of tracky dacks when it's cold outside. I have leggings because I will occasionally do like yoga stretching things, and I wore my yoga pants one day, like maybe a few weeks ago. I wore them one day on a weekend, and I felt so gross all day. Like, I don't know. I just wear jeans. I just am a jeans person. I wear them every single day.
I wonder
except for that one.
Yoga pants to you feel like loungewear, and so you start to feel lazy wearing them, as opposed to when you're wearing jeans, you're like, I'm ready for work, because it's just ingrained in you. This is my work attire.
Right.
So you feel productive when you wear, you know, more constrictive clothing?
I don't know, but I don't feel constricted. I think it's like a hair thing. You know, people see my hair down all the time and they're like, how do you do that? Well, I'm just so used to it. And maybe it's the same thing with jeans.
Yeah.
And you'll notice like I wear big stuff on top, like stuff that probably makes me look maybe larger than I actually am, but it's so comfortable, and I have to have pockets. I use my pockets for everything because I'll have my phone, I'll have extra batteries, I'll have usually some kind of tools, and then I've got other things. I usually like even my little vlog camera I'll stick in my pocket, so I have to have like roomy stuff, and then it makes me comfortable to bend because I always have long things on. Anyway, yeah, it's definitely not a fashion statement, but
you know what you need?
What?
Fanny pack.
Ooh, fanny pack
could keep all
nice.
kinds of stuff in a fanny pack.
Yeah, I could.
Just saying.
Well, that is true. Cindy said, crazy question and one I've never commented on. Do your plants need to sleep, or do they need a dark night period? Yes, plants do. Usually, like here in the studio, the lights come on at 6 a.m. and they turn off at 8 p.m. right now. That's 14 hours, right? And usually for most of the plants in here, you want to go 14 to 16 hours. We'll probably kick that up probably here pretty quick because our plants are, you know, I'm wanting more growth out of my seedlings, but they do need to rest too. They do need a period where they're not in bright light. Charlene said, what is the best kind of grow light for succulents in small places? It just depends. I mean, there's all kinds of different lights you can get. I do have clamp lights with the grow bulb in it. Had good luck with those in small spaces. A tabletop is fine. If you just want to be mindful of, I guess, the bulb. I use all LED full spectrum high output lights, and they work really nicely because you don't have to raise and lower them. You just want to be mindful if you're using a less powerful light that you might have to lower the light closer to your plants to keep them from stretching, because even if you have a light source, the succulent may still stretch if it's not strong enough. So just be mindful of what you have, and it just depends on what look you want, what size and budget you have. Next video is before and after garden transformations part 2. So we took another group of your guys' submissions and just took a look at some of your before and afters, and it was incredibly inspiring. Beach said, Laura, you and Aaron have have a hit. Laura, you and Aaron have a hit with these before and after series. This is the perfect content for winter. It lifts our spirits and gives us inspiration and an encouragement that we can create something beautiful from whatever we're starting with. Thank you so much for all you do to inspire and educate us, and thank you to everyone who submitted photos of their beautiful projects. Thank you for that sweet comment. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying these. They are fun to put together. Margaret said, Laura, could you show some photos from English or European gardens for your non-American followers?
I think that's a really good idea. We should do like English gardens or formal gardens.
Yeah.
They don't have to be the same. They could be separate, but
They
because
could
not
be.
all English gardens are formal.
Right. I would love that. Gemma said, crane in all the trees. Crane in all the trees. There was the guy, the one that in Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah, right.
That craned in a bunch of huge trees. That's what you would do.
Yeah.
Like if we could crane in all of our trees.
Well, and if we had unlimited money.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Then we would crane in all of our
Yeah,
trees.
we would, definitely.
Yeah. I do have a question about that. I'm wondering why you chose not to plant semi-mature trees. I'm a novice, however, I noticed that you plant the small baby trees, and I have seen that more fully grown trees are available to buy. We're a little selective about what we do small and what we do larger. We know somewhat the growth rates of plants around here. Oftentimes with evergreens, if I can get the biggest size possible, I will do that. Sometimes I know that a plant's gonna grow so fast that it's not necessary to spend the extra money on the bigger one. And then sometimes it's budget. Mm-hmm. Like, we're putting in 26 autumn blaze maples along our lane. We got fairly good sized ones. We could have got bigger ones, but your budget ends somewhere, and that was a big project. So we just did what we could do, and that's the case.
It gets
sometimes
exponentially more expensive because not only are the plants so much more expensive the bigger you go, but then to get them planted is so much more work, mm-hmm. and you either have to do it yourself or hire it.
Or rent equipment,
and
like we did.
Equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not just the cost of the plant or tree.
Mm-hmm. Right.
When you get bigger, it's rentals and people.
Yeah, and then sometimes like willows, my parents don't even order in willow trees over 5-gallon size because they grow so fast. And they will do that with some things. Like, this is the only size we have available because just don't waste your money on the bigger ones. Janet said, so beautiful before and afters, but can you do an update on how your fiddle leaf fig propagation is going? I have a couple plants that are about 3 to 4 feet tall, and I want to get them started. I want them to start getting more branches, but I'm a bit nervous to cut them. Love watching your videos early in the morning. That's a great idea. I'm looking at our fig. It's over there, the one that I cut the branches off of and rooted and planted. It's still going. 2 out of the 3 branches survived. But I think I'll pop that in maybe a vlog this next week. Queen Bee said, hi Laura and Aaron, just an idea for your weekly recaps. Can you please put timestamps in them for each of the videos that you cover?
That's a good idea. I was going to try to do that for questions at one point, but there's so many. We do like 100 questions. No, we do like 50 questions. 40. I'm working my way down.
Yeah.
Either way, it'd be a lot of timestamps to try to figure out, because if you make one edit, like a lot of times we'll review the video and be like, oh, that was stupid. Just take out that 2 second.
Yeah, why did I say that?
Yeah, that was just a dumb thing to say.
Yeah.
But when you do that, if you do the timestamps too soon before the video is done, then all your timestamps are off by 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. So that'd be a lot. But I think we can do the videos.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Next video was pre-sprouting ranunculus and anemones and sprucing up several containers outside. So again, another experiment, pre-sprouting some anemones and ranunculus a few weeks earlier than I did last year. I saved the bulk of mine to do on the exact same schedule as last year because we had such good luck with it. But I'd like to try to grow some on and pot them up in nursery containers, have them growing out in the greenhouse, which I got a reminder on my phone today that I need to check on them tomorrow. So I set an alarm for me to get it the day before, and then an hour before I should be doing it. So I get 2 reminders. So I'll check on them, water them tomorrow if they need it, and then 1 week from that, I will probably be planting them up. And then I just cleaned out some containers outside. I painted the ones by the barn. They look so much better. Rebecca said, please do not stop sharing all your seed starting and things like this. We love to see it. It's not redundant. It is different every time, and we are all learning together. I could watch you do anything, and it would inspire me to get my butt up and do stuff. It can be so hard for me in the winter. P.S. Where did you get your geranium seeds? The geranium seeds I ordered, I want to say I got those from Swallowtail Garden. I think swallowtail seeds, something like that. My parents' garden center sometimes has them. I've not seen them this year yet, but they come up so quickly, and I'm super glad that our videos don't seem redundant. Every time I do seed starting in the spring, I'm like, well, that's my project for the day. It looks an awful lot like the project I did yesterday, but maybe somebody will find it helpful. So I'm glad that you like it. Lucilla said, thank you for the wonderful video. What bulbs do you think are easier for beginners? I struggle with watering plants that are not inside my house. What bulbs? Easy for beginners. Boy, if I were to tell somebody to plant a bulb, I would grow a dahlia. Get a dahlia tuber. Honestly, dahlias, I don't know what everybody's experience has been with them, but they are so easy. They're like a plant and almost forget. If you have them on a drip system, ours here, when we initially plant them, we put in compost and starter fertilizer like we do every new plant we're putting in the ground. We water them in, and then I don't water them until I start seeing growth. When I start to see growth, it takes a couple weeks. Then we turn on our drip system, and they just get regular, consistent moisture, and all we do is stake them as they grow if needed, but I don't even fertilize them through the season at all. They're just prolific. They produce a ton of flowers. As long as you can just make sure you have a size that doesn't need to be staked, or you've got a stake near it that you can stake it up with later in the season, we have really good luck with them, and no insect pressure. Hopefully not this year. We've moved our dahlias over the last couple of years, and I don't know if that helps with insect pressure, but this next year they will be in the same exact spot, so I'm hoping that bugs don't find them. Elizabeth said, I can only find bulbs, not corms, from ranunculus. Do they have to be ordered a different time of year? Well, are ranunculus, do they refer to them as bulbs or corms?
I've heard both.
I think I referred to them in this video as corms, but they might be listed as bulbs. There's kind of one and the same. So, yeah. I would go ahead and order those bulbs if that's how they say them. That might be the proper term. Marisol said, can you leave the anemone corms in the ground like you do bulbs? I'm going to try it this year because it says that they are hardy to zone 6, which is technically where we're at now. And I would love to not have to move them around. So we'll see. Tina said, have you ever had a snake problem in any of your gardens? I recently learned that snakes like to shelter among large shrubs, tall grasses, and mulch. We will be moving to our country property next year, and I'm having to rethink all the prospective plants I was hoping to add to my garden. You know, we don't have a snake problem. It's something I actually never think about because we don't have poisonous snakes down where we're at. We get garden snakes, like little itty bitty ones, and I get excited every time I see one. We've had more and more snake activity in our garden since we moved in, which to me signifies a healthy garden. I feel like we've seen more birds, even though we've taken trees and stuff out. Oh, Erin, don't you feel like wildlife? I feel like I've seen more. I've seen more squirrels, which is weird. I've seen more squirrels, more birds, more snakes. I've seen a couple frogs. The more of that kind of stuff you see, I feel like you have a healthier ecosystem. Sure. And it makes me excited. You know, your mom was gardening, I think it was this last year, and she kind of was sitting on a bench. She was doing something, and she looked up, and staring straight at her face, there was a snake in a shrub. She was like, I was done for the day. Yeah. She's not afraid of snakes, but if you're face to face with
nobody
one,
wants to get up close.
No, it's kind of like spiders. Spiders don't bother me.
But you don't want them crawling.
I don't want them all up in my business. Yeah. No. Well, I think black widows could go away forever, and I would be happy. We do have black widows, and we get them pretty bad every year, and it makes me so nervous. I think I've struck fear into Benjamin, though, which is a good thing about black widows. And check in, because like irrigation boxes are prime because it's dark, it's cool, it's usually a little bit moist, and there's usually a big old fat black widow in one of them. And so I told him you have to look all around you and don't ever stick your hand down in one of those. Anyway, kind of gives me the creeps thinking about black widows. Phyllis said, why do you call them pine cones when they're off a blue spruce? I don't know why everybody gets so weird about pine cones. Pine cones.
Are they just cones?
Yeah.
What are they called?
Well, it's a spruce cone technically, but I will probably always refer to them as pine cones because I actually had never thought about the difference. And, obviously there's a difference. It's a spruce cone because it came off a spruce tree, but I'd never thought about it until somebody commented, like, that is not a pine cone, that is a spruce cone. They didn't say it nice like you did. And I was like, who cares? Just say it how you want to say it. Jay's Garden said, you are so motivating. Where do you get your energy from? I just get really excited about stuff and I just have to get out and do it. I think my mom and I are very similar. We're both very high energy naturally. Yeah. I feel like I'm a little bit lower energy than I used to be. Like I'm chilling a little bit. Yeah. But I like to have productive days. I do not like to have, the idea of sitting around and reading all day and like doing whatever I want to do. Like that sounds good in my mind, but I can only take it for about an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm feeling gross. I need to go do something productive with myself, like go clean out a drawer or go plant something somewhere or just get outside. I noticed my mood improves so much, even in the wintertime. Like there were a few hard days this winter when we were sick, and the kids were sick. There was one time when all four of us were sick, and just forcing myself to get outside, like Benjamin and I would bundle up and go outside for just a few minutes, that would elevate my mood so much. And it just made me realize like how much that like just feeds, it fills my cup to be out and in fresh air. And even if I'm not really doing much, just walking around, just looking at things and starting to think and dream about things, it starts to make me feel better.
A lot of people probably think that you never get sick. Because like we rarely take any amount of time off from posting videos.
I
like
don't
in the last
get sick
7
very
years.
often, though. I
8
mean, I
years?
worked even though we were sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. You might have been able to tell. There was one video, I think I was in here. Oh, I think it was the day Benjamin and I were planting the spruce and the peppermint seeds.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like I was not feeling it. I was not feeling good that day. But we got some stuff done and I felt better because we were out here doing stuff. And I think Benjamin had a good time doing it and it got him out of his normal routine. I think that's important, just kind of mixing it up and not feeling like you're all stuck in the house. And, And the last video for this week is planting seeds and plant maintenance in the greenhouse. So in that video, I planted some blue Himalayan poppies, which the packet said for experienced gardeners only, then had a huge instruction sheet with it. I haven't seen any action yet on those. And then what else did I do? I cut back some ferns that I let freeze, cut back a calendula, reseeded some lettuce, and then did a little bit of winter sowing. Kind of a little bit of everything. I just had a few projects to do. And Weezer Boudreau was the top comment on this one too. That moment when your teenage son walks through the room, here's what you're watching and says, "So what's Laura gonna get you doing in the yard today?" I think I've started a pattern, y'all. That's awesome. Tara said, what about having them in the dark? So there was nothing on that said that they needed to be in the dark on any of the instructions that I saw, right? Like, did I not read? I'll read the packet again just to make sure. I know all my other poppy seeds need light in order to germinate. So I don't know if these are the same, but these, they said to surface sow. So don't even put soil over them, but just put a light layer of vermiculite over the top. So I did that. And they are kind of chilling in the green. Uh-oh, my phone just went off. Does that mean the truck's here? Hello? Truck's here. All right, I'll be down on just... yes. Okay, bye. Okay, we have a few questions left. I will get through these and then I'm gonna go help unload a truck full of plants. Diane said, what are your thoughts about GMO seeds? I don't think that home gardeners can even get their hands on GMO seeds. So it's kind of funny, like even down at the garden center, I think there's so much misinformation or people thinking that they can get them or whatever, that you have to put up signs that say you don't have GMO seeds when in fact you can't even get them as a home gardener. I mean, the seed packets and all of that, there's no GMO seeds that you can get. It's more on a farm level that's happening. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I don't really think about it all that much.
Yeah, I don't, it's not my fight. I don't really care. It is what it is. So yeah.
This video is going to digress because I'm all excited about the plants. Maybe we'll get into that more later. It's funny though. We'll get talking about some of these more hot topic things. And then those are the things that we end up editing out later because we're like, I don't know, that's worth the fight right now.
I think it's that you and I are oftentimes not that well researched on some of those hot button topics. And so like we both just take an approach. It's like, it's just not my fight. There's so many things that you just have to say, it just can't be my fight. Like I've got my own life, my own things that I'm doing. I can't take on every single issue and have like a staunch opinion about it. So you just move on with your life and let other people.
Just know that as a regular home gardener, you can't even get your hands on them. So that I know of.
But you can eat the food.
Well,
and it'll
clearly
give you IBS and...
Oh, gross. See, those are the things. Don't talk about that in the video. That's gross. Okay, next question. Did your calendula not succumb to aphids this year? Not those. Those were clean as a whistle. I was really excited. Those two were a little bit more isolated, though. They were in front of the greenhouse in our one plant per pot project. So they were just a little bit more... Just sorry. Hello. Anyway, about the aphids, no aphids on those two. If I were to have this calendula, though, closer to my raised bed, garden, they would for sure have aphids on them. They do every year, but I love it because it's a wonderful trap crop for aphids. It keeps my other stuff clean. Amy said, how do you water the jugs without disturbing the soil? Just use a pump sprayer or a spray bottle through the hole on the top and do it that way. It's usually a soft enough stream to where you're not disturbing anything. Lori said, Laura, not sure if I asked this before, but you use water jugs for winter sowing, so my curious mind wonders, do you buy your milk in glass or paper cartons? Paper, I only drink almond milk. I don't like cow's milk. I never really have. So almond milk in paper cartons, and not very often.
Yeah. We
have water jugs and not all that many, just for, like, I've got a couple of Keurigs. I have one up in my bedroom and one down in the kitchen. And then we have like the Brezas, the formula things that keep water at the perfect temperature so that when you get up at night, which we'll start phasing that out here, like now. But we fill those up upstairs when it's away from our RO system with bottled water. It's easier than hauling the whole thing up and down. Malaya said, when planting the blue poppies, you said, I wonder if I can get these pelletized. What did that mean? When I was doing some seed shopping, I saw, but I wasn't sure what they meant. It's a very soft coating that they can put around tiny seeds like that, which makes seed handling so much easier. And it makes them, sometimes they'll pelletize seeds to make them more uniform in shape and size too, so that when you're putting them through a seeder, they'll all come out at the right distribution. Some of my foxglove seeds that I seeded earlier were pelletized because those are also very tiny seeds. And it'll either be like a white little pellet or like a bright yellow is typically what I see. Paula said, will this method work for geraniums? I always enjoy your videos. After your unboxing from Little Prince, I purchased a plant from them. How fun. Unbelievable how they have them packed for transport. There was even a warmer under the pot. That's the thing. When you find a company that does a really good job packing stuff, that's kind of a...
Little Prince probably is the best packer that we've seen.
Yes, for sure. And it's easy to get apart. Like there's no like tied bags and stuff like that. That gets difficult. They do a really nice job. And as far as the method work for geraniums, I would say yes, that would work. But you would want to start them a little bit later because you want to treat them like one of your more heat-loving crops, like tomatoes and peppers, which you can also winter sow. But I wouldn't start them as early as I'm doing all these hardy perennials and cold-tolerant annuals. Holly Bloom said, which term is correct, vernalization or stratification? I've heard both terms when talking about seeds needing a cold period of cold. I'm not sure. Maybe in seed speak, stratification is right, and like vernalization is in terms of plants. Like a plant needs a vernalization period. I think in both cases it just means a cold period. I've probably used it interchangeably, which is most likely not proper, but again, pine cone, spruce cone.
Yeah.
Like,
if people know what you mean, then
yeah,
you know.
Right. Carla said, oh my goodness, how is it that Samantha is walking already? I thought she was 2 months old at best. Crazy. It is crazy. She started walking at 10 months, which was really nice for us. Benjamin was a little bit later than that, but I think Samantha, being a second child, you know, she sees Benjamin cruising around and she wants to be involved, and, you know, she's got older cousins and stuff. I think it just pushed her a little bit to be, she's also a little bit more intense than Benjamin ever was. Like she's into every cupboard and every drawer, like pulling stuff. She brings you things like, here you go, you wanted this, right? Yeah. You wanted this pair of socks. So she'll bring you things. She'll also climb. She wants to climb everything.
You know, it's interesting though. She's not afraid of climbing, but she does have fear. Like I used to throw Benjamin up in the air and catch him, and he loved it. I mean, I could just do it all day long. Samantha's like, nope, you do not throw me into the air.
Right.
So that's interesting to me that she has less fear in some areas, but is more fearful of other things.
Right. And that is it for today's video. You guys know what I'm doing for the rest of the day. I'm going to head back down to Andrew's right now. We're going to see some really pretty plants, and I'll share it with you guys in a video at some point, probably after this one goes out. So thank you so much for watching this, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.